阿弥陀佛，测试中文话筒音量。阿弥陀佛，测试中文话筒音量。
tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadhanto suchedoye olahudi samyao samputoshe.
Namo sadhanto suchedoye alahati samyao samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛。Venerable Master, Sam, this is a little too loud. Dharma friends, good evening. My name is Heng. Tonight is Friday, the 18th of April, here in the Gold Coast of Queensland. We're at Shurangama Monastery. This is the last night of our week of Emperor Liang repentance, and this is the Dharma talk that accompanies the repentance liturgy. And we are talking this week about all the different practices available to cultivators inside the Han Chuan Fujiao, the Chinese Mahayana tradition. And we're answering the question, 84,000 methods of practice. Which one is the very best one for me? I personally have asked that question before, along with lots of folks I know who want to know. So we're in the process of answering that question. We would like to respectfully acknowledge the Kombu-Meri people of Ugambi language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where our monastery is located. We pay respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. Today, 我们恭敬地承认Ugambi语族的Kombu-Meri人，他们是这个地方所在我们道场所在地的传统居士者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民也致敬。All right, and that'll do it for our preparations. I have a bunch of things that I want to share tonight, and I thought what might be interesting would be to start with my own practices that I observed when I was on a pilgrimage. I was a young monk, and I was practicing full-time outdoors. I had a Dharma protector. I had another monk with me, and oops, that's not what I want. Close that. It's not the one. Here we go. There it is. So here's, now this is just for comparison's sake, all right? This is just to say how one person, myself, and the other monk actually was, let's see, Jialing Tingjing, Zhang Ziji的名字. Okay, good, that's you. Not everybody practiced this way, but here is an example of how, at one point, for years, I cultivated. As a monk, I was holding the 10 Shramanera precepts, Shami Shijie. As a bhikshu, I was abiding by the 250 Bhikshu Jie. In our Mahayana tradition, we take the Pusa, Chujia Pusa Jie, 10 zhong 48 qing, 10 major 48 subsidiary bodhisattva precepts. So this is every monk you see has at one point promised to observe these precepts. Nuns have even more. Excuse me one second. when we are in training, we learn the 53 Vinaya verses, that everything that we do all day long is accompanied by a verse and a mantra. At the time, we were busy making vows, and this was a very interesting experience. At Gold Mountain Monastery, back in the 70s, for some reason, the monks and nuns were remembering their vows made in past lives, and they would just spontaneously make them again. So, for myself, during my pilgrimage, I took a vow of silence. I didn't speak for 6 years to anyone, except for Master Hua once a month when I saw him. Otherwise, no words. I made a vow to eat no sugar. Kept that one. I made a vow to drink no milk. Kept that one. That includes butter, cheese, ice cream, yogurt. And at one point, I made a vow to eat no seasoning on my food. 不加油,不加盐. That didn't last. Shifu showed me that was very selfish because it was hard on lay people to try to offerings to 2 monks. One monk eats normal, the other one doesn't. At one point, I made a vow and said, 钵饭, 1 bowl of food per day. Master Hua said, bad idea. Don't do that. He said, you'll always be afflicted. Some days you won't have enough, other days you'll have too much. He said, don't do that. We never entered the home of a lay person for the entire pilgrimage. 过午不饮酱. I drank nothing thick after noon, so no juice or tea. 银钱戒, didn't touch money for 25 years. When I became the director of the monastery, I had to handle money. But 25 years, traveling around the world, 手不摸钱. No comparing or competing with others. Sounds simple, hard to do, to really not do it. In spreading Dharma, not seeking Ming or Li. Those are the vows that I made. Okay, so those are personal guidelines that I made. Okay, this is spring 1978. The pilgrimage started in May of 77. Bowing every day, keeping silence, meditating twice a day, internal practices, practicing 42 hands and eyes every day, memorizing 十横品, 华严经十横品, memorizing 清净经, practicing every day Taiji Chuan in the morning, practicing some Shaolin Dandui practices, reciting the Great Compassion Mantra, 108 for 1 year. Then it was, I cut back on that. It was taking too much time. Talk about that later. Reciting Om Mani Padme Hum when meditating. Ceremonies 3 times a day. 早课 every day. 上供 and then 晚课. We didn't do the Joshin, that came later, much later. We practiced the Bosa, right? The Chu Yi Shi Wu, reciting precepts every month. Every night, translating the sutra. Every day, writing a journal. Shifu gave us these instructions. So this was 1 hour ayah. This happens a lot. It comes in from the internet here. Interesting. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Get it. That's a virus. A computer virus comes in. Luckily, I've got a monitor. Otherwise. So 1 hour of bowing, 20 minutes of writing. So every hour of bowing, Marty and I stopped, found a place to sit, and wrote Bichi for 20 minutes, put it away, got up and bowed again. So there were like 8 periods of writing every day, 8 periods of bowing. And the result of that was a lot of journals and letters. Ascetic practices, like I mentioned, so mind practices, body practices, heart practices, Chan, meditation, the Taiji, the Guangping Yang Taiji Chuan has 19 basic exercises, 基本运动. Then let's see, I guess that was it. The bowing method that we practiced every day was palms together and then Gui Yi Fo, 1 step, Gui Yi Fa, 1 step, Gui Yi Seng, 3rd step. Bow down, say Namo Da Fang Guang Po Hua Yan Jing. While on the ground, Wang Shi So Zao Zhu Ye, Jie Yu Wu Shi Tang Chuan Chi, Song Shen Yu Yi Zhi So Shang, Yi Che Wo Zhen Jie Qiang Hui, Hua Yan Hai Hui Fu Pu Sa. Come back up. So the bowing method was really busy, you could say. So Gui Yi Fo, Gui Yi Fa, Gui Yi Sang, Namo Da Fang Guang Po Hua Yan Jing, Namo Da Fang Guang Po Hua Yan Jing, Wang Shi So Zao Zhu Ye, Hua Yan Hai Hui Fu Pu Sa, like that. So did that probably 1,000,000+ times in the 2.5 years. So these were my personal daily practices. Heng Chao, Marty, said he thought I was crazy. He said, that's just false thinking so much. He didn't do half of those. He focused on Chan and responding to the world around him. He was a hufa, so he had to pay attention. He was focused outside. He had to drive the car that we lived in. He had to cook the food. He had to talk to the police and all. So I gave myself a lot of work to do so I would have less false thinking, right? So that's the idea. Okay, now that is not a standard. What I'm describing for myself is not, I'm not holding that up as therefore people should do that. The answer to how should I practice, the question if you ask yourself, how should I practice, is, Shifu would say, an jiao li, an jiao fen. Do it according to your strength, do it according to your role. So in Qishan, in Kaohsiung, we had a mom. She was a real dedicated cultivator, a mother of 4 daughters. And she insisted that she should cultivate like a Buddhist nun. She was not a Buddhist nun. She was stubborn. She is tashuji, she's a rooster. And you couldn't tell her anything. And her daughters would come to us and say, Foster, can you tell Mom to stop getting angry all the time? She's just, I don't think Buddhists should be angry all the time. She's always scolding us. So I knew her pretty well. I said, why are you getting angry all the time? She said, I said, if you're angry all the time, that's a really good sign that something's wrong. Tell me about what you do during the day. Oh, and she told us, and I eat 1 meal a day, she said. He said, you're eating 1 meal a day, and you raise 4 daughters, and you keep your husband in line, and you're extremely busy. And do you often feel tired? She said, always. I said, could it be that you're out of fuel? Well, probably. Why is that? Well, because I don't eat very much. Why do you not eat very much? Because I'm supposed to eat 1 meal a day. I said, wrong. She, what? I said, wrong. That's not an jiao li, an jiao fen. You should cultivate according to your station. You're a lay woman. You are not a Buddhist nun who has taken a 日中一时 vow. Get real. Your daughters are complaining. Your husband is complaining to me They're blaming the Dharma for your bad temper. My mom's a Buddhist, she's angry all the time. Right? Does that sound right to you? No, of course not. That's why. It's because you are not Sui-Yan. You are being turned by your false thinking that you should be a Buddhist nun and cultivate like one. You're not. Why don't you cultivate like a Buddhist lay woman? Put the food in your body that you need to do the work you need to do, and you won't get angry all the time. You'll feel better. Your daughters will thank you. You are turning them away from Buddhism because of your bad temper, because you think you're just the same as a Buddhist nun. You are not. Don't try to pretend like you are one, right? I spoke just like that to her. I was like very direct. Shifu says we're supposed to eat one meal a day. I said, the we? Who is the we? Well, his disciple, his left home disciples. When you leave home, if you want to eat one meal a day, that's a good idea. Most of us do it. As a laywoman living at home, don't try to do that. That's not natural, right? And so anyway, that's an example of cultivate according to your situation. Finally, in the end, you know what she did? She continued to eat one meal a day. She continued to get angry. She didn't listen. Luckily, her daughters didn't turn away from Buddhism. But anyway, they just know that their mom was just too stubborn. She's really stubborn. And definitely she had a lot of gongde, but her anger burned it away. She'd cultivate gongde and then burn it away with her anger. So she was angry because she was always like stepping on the accelerator and there was no gas in the tank. So, like that. So what is good? Now, if you pick up a practice that doesn't please you, or after 3 months, after 6 months, it's not working, it doesn't feel right, let it go. There's no sense whatsoever that the Buddha is unhappy with us if we exchange practices or stop cultivating one way and pick up another way. Shifu said, ultimately, he said, before you become a Buddha, you have to cultivate all the practices, he said. Ultimately, you have to cultivate them all. So he said, it's true, we talk about Iman Shanru, that you want to go deeply into your practice and go from beginning to intermediate to advanced. However, that Iman Shanru is meant to counter people who think that they are Shancai Tongzi. What was Shancai Tongzi? He was practicing 53 different methods because he had 53 different teachers. And he said, if your idea is you try one, you take refuge at this dada, and then you go take refuge at that dada, and then you go take a refuge with another monk who's coming through town, he said, you're only turning in circles. You'll never get anywhere. You're always on the outside of the watermelon. You never get into the inside. You know how tasty a watermelon is. He said, that's what Iman Shanru was about. So he said, if you want to cultivate 2 or 3 practices, you can also sit in Chan. You can also translate. This keeps going in and out? Isn't it funny? It seems like it gets quiet, then it gets loud. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Okay, so Shifu said you can do more than one practice at once, no problem. If you decide that it's not, there we go. Should you decide that your practice is not working for you, that sounds good. Switch. He said, do something different. Try something different. Practices can go stale if you've done it for a long time and you kind of feel you're in a rut. He said, don't feel that the Buddha is unhappy with you if you pick up another practice. That's perfectly good, he said. So there's all kinds of all kinds of amazing rules about practices, and And Shifu was very encouraging to us, right? He said to me, as I told you yesterday, while I was bowing, I said, which one is the best? He said, Yang Nian Fo Ma. He said, Shi Wu Liang Guang, and walked away. And to this day, I still do not Nian Fo. I never picked it up. I don't Nian Fo. I Nian Zhou. I recite the Da Bei Zhou. From my first year at Gold Mountain Monastery, 1972, I began reciting Great Compassion Mantra. I still do. So that's my particular, I'm connected strongly to Guanyin. I had no idea that my life in Dharma would focus around the Huayan Jing. I had no idea. The first time I saw it was when I got to Gold Mountain Monastery, a mattress factory in the Mission District of San Francisco, and the front windows, big yellow characters, Hua Yan Hui, just big characters like this on the windows over the front door, second floor up there. And I was, 什么叫华严会? I had to have my former roommate, Bhikshu Heng explain to me that Shifu had begun to explain the Huayan Jing just a few months earlier before I arrived. I believe that the Huayan Jing is like a magnet, and the people who have affinities are like an iron filament, drawn to the magnet. So that's my take. That's my particular take. Okay, now, there's one important thing to say. If I was going to finish this topic, we'd have to add like 3 more weeks, 2 or 3 more weeks. I'd need another 10 or 12 evenings to continue, because that's, I think, the book that we're hoping to create, explaining ways of practice to everybody. If you had to say, what was Master Hua's signature teaching, it would probably be, some people would say Liu Da Zongzhi, the 6 guidelines. I think it's what underlies the Liu Da Zongzhi, which is called the Xin Di Famen. Xin Di Famen. Now, what is the Xin Di Famen? This is connected to Liu Zu Da Shi, the 6th patriarch, Hui Neng Da Shi. He is the one who frequently, in the 6th Patriarch Sutra, talks about Xin Di. And Master Hua, I think, gave this to us to cultivate because it is Buddhist psychology. And people in the 21st century are very tuned in to, are very comfortable talking about our minds and psychology. Oh, this person, he's kind of depressed. Oh, this person, they've got a hang up. Oh, this person's just really obsessed with, this person's just, is doing therapy, It's all psychology. It's this interest in what's going on. In the West, we point here. In Asia, we say Xin, Xinli, point to the chest. Now, the Xin Di Famen is based on an analogy for gardening. Xin Di, cultivator, is a skillful gardener of the mind ground. What does that mean? It means, as Shifu gave us, Liu Da Zongzhi. How does the Liu Da Zongzhi work? You have to watch your thoughts. You yourself. Nobody can do it for you. Watch your thoughts. This is cultivation, said Shifu. When your thoughts produce fighting, greed, seeking, selfishness, self-benefit, and dishonesty, what do? You pull it up like a gardener. You weed the Xin Di, the ground of the mind, the earth of the mind, and you take that plant. Does everybody know about compost? 堆肥, right? Compost is plants that you don't want, or grass clippings or leaves, mixed with a little bit of lime and maybe food scraps. You put them in a heap, you wet it down, and then you turn it over every month. And by about 4, 5, 6 months, you have beautiful fertilizer. You put it on the garden, it helps things grow. It's really nutritious and good. The weeds of the mind, the 正坛求自是自利王语, the 6 guidelines that Shifu says avoid, are the plants that become the fertilizer for Bodhi. You could say Bodhi comes out of those discarded, recycled, composted thoughts. All right? That's a skillful gardener. People following, is this too much gardening language for you? Look at the 6th patriarch. 心地无非自性戒，心地无迟自性慧，心地无乱自性定，不增不减自金刚，身去身来本三昧. When the mind ground is free from errors, this is the precepts of your inherent nature. This is how I say it. When your mind ground is free from errors, this is the precepts of your inherent, meaning already there, inherent nature. That's another way of saying that. When your mind ground is free from errors, the precepts of your inherent nature arise. Just that is the right way to be a person. Precepts means how we are as a person, right? What flowers are growing in the garden of your mind? So, 心地没有愚痴的话，自性智慧. When your mind has no delusion, that is the wisdom of your inherent nature, etc. So, 心地. Okay, what else? He says, 我今说法犹如时雨，普润大地，如等佛性披诸种子，于此沾合 right? 习得法身，成我智者，觉悟菩提，依我行者，定正妙果，听我偈曰. He said, 心地含诸种，普语悉皆梦，顿悟华尽意，菩提果自成. So here it is again, right? 6 patriarchs talking about that a lot. The mind ground contains every seed, good and bad, that we plant there. Under the universal rain, they all sprout. You don't want them all. Some you have to weed up, others you let grow. Flower and feeling, sudden enlightenment, the Bodhi fruit accomplishes itself. So, remember Wolun, the sculptor, who said he holds his mind and never has false thinking? He says, 此即莫名心地. Right? So, the Wolun comes up and says, I got a verse for you. He recites it. 6th patriarch says, sorry, no. This verse shows no understanding of the mind ground. Right? So, all through the 6th patriarch sutra, we get Shindi. Shifu taught this way. Here it is. This is my idea. This is profound psychology that we use after our meditation allows us to see our thoughts. If we are beginners, I remember what it was like when I first started to meditate. My mind was chaotic. It was just noisy. It was couldn't hear my thoughts. We have to have a little bit of practice on the way for us to even notice what thoughts are rising and falling. So, 6 guidelines lets us identify when the thoughts sprout from the mind. And what do? We look and we say, 正念吗? 没有,可以了. Let it grow. Is it a thought of contention? If not, it's let it go, no affliction. If it is 正念, you know what follows? Affliction, 烦恼, because you're out there checking and comparing and competing and fighting and trouble, right? Same with tan. Thought rises up, you see it, you decide on the spot Is that a greedy thought? If so, down the road, 烦恼, affliction. If not, if it's not a greedy thought, if it's a generous, open thought that you want to share, down the road, good stuff. So, Liu Da Zongzhi does not mean all thoughts are bad. It means pay close attention once you can see your thoughts. Use your gardening hoe and pick out the weeds, compost them, put them back. Don't let them grow. They will produce bodhi. It's the same stuff. Okay? The afflicted thoughts are weeds. They need to be plucked up, turned into compost. The unafflicted thoughts are wholesome. They will produce fruits, flowers, and crops that you will harvest, no trouble. Okay? How does that make sense? I really think that's what Shifu taught us. And look at this. The nice thing about it is 6 guidelines are portable. You can do them at the office. You can do them at the breakfast table. You can do them while you're walking. You can watch your mind while you're talking to friends, drinking tea, cooking. All day long, they don't require you to cross your legs. They don't require you to be by yourself. You can do them on an airplane. You can do them, sitting in the Buddha hall. So 6 guidelines are Buddhist psychology. 佛教的心理学. Okay. Now, some people have seen these before, and I don't want this. This is a little bit complex, and I think it's really important. So I hope you can stay with me. It's not. Let's see. I won't apologize. We'll just see if we can get it. Here we go. There is a relationship between the Buddhist precepts and the 6 guidelines. What are the Liu Da Zongzhi? They are Wu Jie on the Xin Di. Those are the precepts on the ground of the mind, on the mind ground. Believe it? Does that make sense? When we break a precept, something has come first that we missed. So we take the precepts, even the lay people, precepts you took, Wu Jie, right? So you don't want to sha dao yin wang jiu, right? If we do that, that means we did not serve as a gardener on our mind ground. Here's what you do. If we use those 6 guidelines and we see zheng tan qiu, of greedy, of fighting, contentious, greedy, seeking, selfish thought arise, what do we do? I'll show you. Okay. 6 guidelines right here. Can you see the middle here? Right here. 6 guidelines says, I just had a thought of fighting. I saw that I wanted to compete with somebody. I was jealous. They were getting praise and I wasn't, so I wanted to go ahead of them. If I go ahead and if I miss that thought, what if I miss that thought? I could possibly go ahead and actually put it into action and kill somebody. The act of killing came from a thought of fighting that I missed. So the 6 guidelines say, catch it here, and you will never do that. This is the Wu Jie on the mind ground. The 6 guidelines are Xin Di Shang de Wu Jie, right? So if we pay attention here, our precepts are clear. Okay, does that make sense? Shifu gave us the Liu Da Zongzhi as Xin Di Jie Lü. Okay, a greedy thought. You got some and you want more. I have mine, but I want yours too. That looks really, So what happens? If you miss it, if you don't catch it and weed it like a good gardener, oops, there's the precept. 透到，因为没有注意那个贪念 right? If you can catch it when the 贪念起来 then this is pure. You don't 透到 So here's the place to use effort when it's still a thought. If it's a thought and you catch it, 没有业，没有犯戒，没有恶业。求心 ，OK， 自己已经够了，可是呢，不知足，有所求啊，要得更好，要得更美，要得更年轻啊 ，seeking。Itchy, and you can't scratch it, right? Seeking. If you don't catch it, you can go out and break up a family or break your own family, right? If you catch it and you say, oh, come on, my partner is so good to me, she doesn't mind that I'm a jerk, right? She gives me so much good care and all, so I'm just not gonna seek. Guess what? This precept, pure, doesn't get broken. Okay, selfish, 自私. I'm the only person in the world. I'm the center. I'm the most important one. As a result, I have to lie to cover up my false face. So if I catch the selfishness, 大公无私, tell the truth. Not selfish. Never tell a lie. Because you're unselfish. You don't care what people see when they 口是心是不是口是心非 right? It's true in and out. You don't have to lie. So this is 第四不妄语戒在心地上就是不自私 right? See how these work? 不自利 if you catch this, I want all of it for me. I don't want to share any of it. This is all for me. The result is you can easily go out and 喝一点抽一点 because 自己要往上要 get high, right? If you share everything, good states with everyone, 不会另外求境界 And then finally, lying is repeated from number 4. Okay, now, so you say, okay, I'm constantly 正念常常起来. What do we do? How do we 对治? Antidotes, right? So if we have a 正念, transform it with yielding, 让而不争. Bring up another thought that is the antidote, 对治. It's the medicine for the illness of 争. What is it? 让, 和. And you have, this is what Shifu called cultivation. It's so funny. It took me a long time because the Liu Dao Zhongzhi sounded so simple and so like kind of backwards. You know, I want something dramatic. I want meditation and enlightenment. Shifu said, watch the mind ground. Be a good gardener of the mind ground. And here's how we do it. So let's say I recognize, oh, right, fighting thought, right? Somebody's bad to me and I want to get back. You go, okay, yield. No, I'm going to keep my mind free from affliction. Bring up yielding. Not only 正念走，而且不会杀到. Right? Not only do you transform the fighting thought, compost it, but you also don't break the precept. That's key. So, okay, thoughts agreed. 贪心起来怎么样呢？布施 generous, 大方，不但自己有的我喜欢，而且我愿意布施给你，我所有的。就助人是快乐之本 right? You're always happy. So, and furthermore, 不会偷盗. Okay, does that make sense? Do people see how this works? So, 求心, that itch, right? 7-year itch. What do? 知足. 长乐. Bring up 知足, say, you know, everything I have is what I deserve. Nothing I have comes because it's not mine. The things that I do have are not somebody else's. I'm content. This is my 应该有的福报，应该有的享受，应该有的幸福。So 无所求，结果呢，这个觉眼界不会犯，知足 ，okay, really works well, magic. Then 自私心 very easy to have. You say nope, 大公无私，大公无私。We people are all interdependent. 我们缘永无碍，各有分哈。So then 自私心不会的，而且呢不会妄语。Then thoughts of advantage 自利，你就说 serve 服务 be a steward to others, act in service. Just volunteer. And as a result, 自利的心不会到这个喝酒或者抽毒吸毒。OK， 妄语心起来，你就老就说真实不撒谎。Okay, so I think these work really well. We start here. The gardener, the mind ground gardener, pays attention on this row right here. You watch your mind, watch your thoughts. To watch your thoughts, you have to be quiet inside. If you're still, you'll never see it when these thoughts rise. Then you just kind of bounce around, boom, boom, boom. But if you can catch these, then use the 对治, the antidote, then the precepts are pure. Because the first movement, that thought, it didn't get past you. It didn't slip past you. So, precepts on the mind ground, they say. 心地上持戒. So, I don't know if that makes sense to folks, I hope so. There's one more thing. This takes a little bit of explanation, but I think I'm really happy with this answer. People come to me and say, you know, you Buddhists, with your precepts and your purity, you are really irrelevant to society. You don't do anything valuable. What contribution do you make? The whole world goes by and you're just over there seeking nirvana. You're useless. And I say, actually not the case, not so. Take a look. This is from the micro, from the small to the macro. Precepts on the mind ground. 心地上持戒. Okay, here is, these go down, not across but down. Here are the 五戒, here are the 六大宗旨. This is society on issues that affect everyone. All right, got how this is lined up here? So it's a similar situation of step by step. Okay, so if I 不争, no thoughts of fighting, I can prevent killing myself because I don't let that thought of 争 lead to broken precept. Okay, so far so good. Now, because I don't kill, because I don't even let myself fight, suppose in your family, at your workplace, in society, an issue comes up. Violence, domestic violence. In Australia, a big problem. Going to war, 堕胎, capital punishment, euthanasia. These are all what are called hot button issues in the world. And you say, actually, I have a position I don't fight, I don't kill. I don't even kill redback spiders. I let them live. I don't even kill mosquitoes. I don't allow my mind to have thoughts of fighting. Therefore, when a major issue comes up that involves life, like weapons, do you own a gun in America, believe it or not? Right? Eric, you'd have to decide if you've got a gun in your car glove box in America. Many people do. And they say, well, got to protect myself. I might get stopped at the red light by somebody who wants to carjack me. People, you know, if you're a Buddhist, you go, do I get a gun? Do I get a... It's a real thing in America. How crazy, right? What do you do? So if you say, no, I don't fight, that means you're probably not going to get a gun. Big question. Okay, number 2. If I don't have thoughts of greed and I catch them as they rise and I put them on the compost heap, you can prevent the broken precept of stealing. That's really good all by itself, right? Now, if this is who you are, if you say, because I watch my mind, I don't let greedy thoughts arise, and I don't steal, therefore, when an issue arises around material resources, economics, distributing wealth, the planet, my possessions, I don't gather wealth. I share. I distribute. I practice generosity. I have enough, not too much. One of the major problems in the world right now is what's called unequal distribution of wealth. There are a few people who are ultra rich. They call them the 1%, and everybody else barely has enough. So that's an unhealthy situation. If you live where you don't allow thoughts of greed, then when it comes to issues of economics, distributing wealth, you are on the side of generosity. As a result, whenever there's the 因果 of that is whenever there's something like Social Security or a pension or a fellowship, you always get your share because you are generous. You let things come through. You loan things to people. You share because why? Your heart is free from greed. This is the kind of person who wants nature to be used by everybody. National parks, right? Someone who would volunteer for community service, etc. Okay, number 3, no thoughts of seeking, 无所求. You know it can prevent a broken yin, 邪淫, 戒, because your mind doesn't seek, 知足, 常乐. As a result, an issue comes up with relationships about sexual abuse or keeping to your spouse, holding your marriage vows, sticking together with your family, gender issues, male, female, etc. You always know where you stand. You are for firm vows, 老老实实, right? The vows you made 10, 15 years ago, you stick with them. Your family is together because you are, in your mind, not always looking left and right for who's looking young and beautiful, right? So society is messed up now over relationships. This is a major, major question. Australia is everyone's talking about domestic violence, right? So this is key. Now, what's the point of this? When issues like this arise, and if you read the news, if you listen to the issues that are going on, many people go, I don't know, I see both sides, I mean, I'm not really clear on it. A Buddhist who has made a decision, 不求,无所求, says, no, I'm actually very clear on this. I know where I stand. I am clear on this. I hold my vows. If I didn't make the vows, if I'm not married, I don't hurt people with sexual desire, right? I am faithful. Other people hear that and they go, oh, yeah, that's really right, isn't it? Right? It just takes one person to be clear on issues and it just ripples out. And everyone else goes, oh, yeah, I guess that's right. It's kind of confusing, isn't it? Well, those old-fashioned ways of seeing it, that's really right, right? So Buddhists with this clarity are relevant. This is super important among your family, among your workplace, on your team, on your social circle, to have one person in the community who says, no, actually, I'm clear on it. I'm a Buddhist. This is the way we practice. Everyone goes, oh, that's good. Okay. 不自私, you don't let yourself be selfish. You are connected to the community, so you don't lie. Guess what? If you yourself don't lie, when you are in the public world, when you listen to politicians, you listen to news broadcasters, you listen to advertisers, you know what happens? You can hear them when they are not telling the truth. It's so clear. If you, in your mind, aren't selfish, you're never trying to cover over your behavior, you are straightforward. The result is when people are not straightforward with you, you hear it right away. You become a leader in the public sector, in private sectors, at work, in society, because people hear in your voice 口是心是, right? Not 口是心非. You are honest and straightforward. Integrity, 正直, right? 直言直行. That's the kind of person. You become a role model for young people. Young people come to you because they hear in your voice, you're clear, you're straight, you're simple, not complicated and 弯弯曲曲的, right? So, and advertising. When somebody who never tells a lie listens to advertising, it's so clear, that's a lie, right? Used to be, oh, you smoke cigarettes and you're more attractive to the opposite sex, right? Salem takes you away. Remember you used to cigarette advertising? Walking down the beach, smoking a cigarette. You can't do that anymore because everybody knows that's not true. All right, last one. If you don't seek every advantage for yourself, you don't use intoxicants, the result is, oh, does the modern world have any issues of addiction? Fentanyl? How about alcoholism? And all the problems following from alcohol abuse. People who don't any longer understand reality-based truth, that they can't tell the difference between reality and distortion, it's because they missed this part. A Buddhist who is clear about 不自利, right? You don't have those thoughts of, I want this advantage, I want to get high, right? As a result, you are clear about what is addictive behavior, what is confusion, what is clarity, ultimately what is wisdom. So how important is someone who can say that? Okay. So there we are. This is the, you can say, precepts on the mind ground. When you engage your ethical commitment, spiritual practice and secular issues merge, and you become an extremely valuable member of your community. All right? There we go. So I think if we say what is Shifu's major contribution, he certainly emphasized Liu Dazhongzhi for a long, long time. Okay. Now that's a lot of talk, a lot of words. There was a new song that I wanted to share. It's not one of mine, but it's one I really like. And the reason is it's a monks and nuns song. It's written by a Canadian songwriter whose name is Lorena McKennett. And she's one of my very favorites. She's just terrific. And the thing about this song is she wrote it about monks in Europe from the Dark Ages. I'll go through it line by line so you get the feeling. Skellig is the name of an island off the coast of Ireland. And the monks lock themselves in these tall towers while all the barbarians were down below killing each other, burning libraries, burning churches. The monks stayed in their towers, copying the Bible. So the person singing the song is an old monk who is about to die. And he's talking to his young disciple who is going to take over the books that the old monk copied. It's kind of sad, but it's also kind of beautiful. So he says, "Light the candle, John. The daylight has almost gone. The birds have sung their last. The bells call all to mass. Sit here by my side. The night is very long. There's something I must tell you before I pass along." He's telling his history now. He says, "I joined the brotherhood, the Sangha, Sangtan. My books were all to me. I scribed the words of God and much of history." He was not only copying the Bible, he was also a historian. That's what monks and nuns did in the past. "Many a year was I perched out upon the sea. The waves would wash my tears, the wind my memory." So those monks in their towers, right? It's very lonely, but it's a holy life. "I'd hear the ocean breathe, exhale upon the shore. I knew the tempest's blood, its wrath I would endure. And so the years went by within my rocky cell, with only a mouse or bird. My friend, I loved them well." So you can think of the old monk or the nun out there in the tower. The bird and the mouse comes in, and that's the friends of the monk, right? And so the barbarians go away, and the monk comes down out of the tower and decides that he's going to walk to Rome. He's going to walk across Europe to Italy. So it came to pass, I've come here to Romani. Many a year it took till I arrived here with thee. On dusty roads I walked, and over mountains high, through rivers running deep, beneath the endless sky. You think of Sudana, Shanzai Tongzi, right? Looking for Shanzhishi. So he's on a pilgrimage, no longer in the tower. He says, as he breathes his last, "Beneath these jasmine flowers, amidst these cypress trees, I give you now my books and all their mysteries. Please take care of my legacy as I give them to you. Now take the hourglass and turn it on its head, for when the sands are still, 'tis then you'll find me dead. Oh, light the candle, John, the daylight is almost gone. The birds have sung their last, the bells call all to mass." Isn't that beautiful? Light the candle, John, the daylight has almost gone. The birds have sung their last, the bells call all to mass. Now sit here by my side, for the night is very long. There's something I must tell before I pass along. I joined the brotherhood, my books were all to me. I scribed the words of God and much of history. Many a year was I perched out upon the sea. The waves would wash my tears, the wind my memory. I'd hear the ocean breathe, exhale upon the shore. I knew the tempest blood, its wrath I would endure. And so the years went by within my rocky cell, with only a mouse or bird, my friend, I love them well. So it came to pass, I'd come here to Romney, and many a year it took till I arrived here with thee. On dusty roads I walked, and over mountains high, to rivers running deep beneath the endless sky. Beneath these jasmine flowers, amidst these cypress trees, I give you now my books and all their mysteries. Now take the hourglass and turn it on its head, for when the sands are still, 'tis then you'll find me dead. Or light the candle, John, the daylight is almost gone. The birds have sung their last, the bells call all to Mass. There aren't many songs about monks and nuns, but that's one of them. Isn't that a good one? Okay, thank you for the opportunity this week to be with everybody in the evening. I appreciate the chance. I hope this book project comes to success. I hope it comes to light. If it does, it'll be because you let me run through it here on every night this week. So here we go. Please make a wish. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. We will conclude by bowing to Guanyin Pusa. Okay, how? Someone chant? Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Alrighty, Amitofo.